Hey everyone, super excited to bring you another incredible training from our Friday Connect training series. For those of you that are new to the channel, we host these every single Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, completely for free. Now, if you're interested in joining one of these calls, just click the link that's in the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment. That'll take you over to our Facebook group where you can see all the upcoming calls, all the upcoming topics, and even leave some suggestions for something you want to see us cover in the future. With all that being said, let's just get right into the training. We're gonna get started here. And essentially what we're going to go into here, I'm going to be showing you guys why Facebook is so strong, why it's so powerful, and why it's a tool you need to be using in order to generate leads in your business today. Now, not only that, I'm actually going to show you, as Thermel alluded to, at the end of the Facebook section here, I'm actually going to show you the exact ad, the exact copy, everything that I set up in order to generate 165 leads for, and I'll show you the screenshot right here, 125 leads, sorry, for just under 60 cents each. I'm based in the GTA here in Ontario, Canada. And if any of you guys have tried to run ads here, it is quite expensive typically. So I know people that are happy to get $20 cost per lead. So getting them for 59 cents each is absolutely insane. And again, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I did that. Now, the other thing I'll let you guys know when I show you the targeting, I can guarantee you it will surprise you. So be sure to stick around for that. Thermel already gave me a great introduction, so I won't really spend any time on this at all. But as she mentioned, I was a top media buyer for multiple e-commerce brands that I built and scaled to the six-figure mark by leveraging Facebook and Instagram ads. And last thing I'll mention before we dive into everything here, when I'm talking about Facebook, the Facebook platform, or I guess rebranded now as Meta, we're talking about Facebook and Instagram advertising, as the platform applies to both. So anytime I say Facebook, I mean Facebook and Instagram typically. Okay, with that being said, let's get right into it. So first of all, before we understand too much of the strategy, it's important to understand why you even want to use this platform in the first place. First of all, between Facebook and Instagram, you got over 4 billion users, which is incredible, meaning your target market is most likely on one of those platforms. And it's used by people of different ages. So you'll know, typically you'll find people a little bit on the younger side on Instagram, people that are a little bit on the older side on Facebook, but you're able to target both and use that strategically. Now, when it comes to targeting, this is one of the reasons why people find Facebook so effective, is because of these two things. Number one, retargeting, also known as remarketing, essentially means you can send ads to people that have interacted with your business in the past. So whether that's from your other digital lead generation methods or even traditional prospecting like door knocking and cold calling, you can actually leverage retargeting to keep yourself top of mind. Essentially, you'd be able to target people that have interacted with your business in the past, so you're always staying on top of mind. Now, strategic location targeting, this is something that's actually been very, very valuable to a lot of agents, especially over the past few years, where you see a lot of migration to different areas. For example, a lot of you may know that there's a lot of people from places like California, New York, that are migrating down to Texas, Florida, places like that. So what you can do is you can actually target people that are looking to relocate, and you can be their agent from, let's say, Dallas, and they're out in California. You can actually help them move by targeting people that are looking to buy up in California. Now, the reason why I really like Facebook so much is because of what I like to call the Facebook intelligence, meaning that Facebook knows you and your client better than you know you and your client. And the way they're actually able to do that is by leveraging pixel tracking. So pixel tracking, a Facebook pixel, essentially it's this little piece of code that every single Facebook advertiser puts on their website to track everything that's going on. But Facebook takes all of that data and puts it together in order to develop your potential audience. So it uses their algorithms and all their systems that they have set up in order to find the best person based on their behaviors and based on behaviors of other people that Facebook believes to be similar to them. And that's things like and also the other important thing to look at is that your ads, they do improve over time, meaning as Facebook gains more data about your ideal client, your ideal customer, Facebook's going to start optimizing your ads and continuing to improve over time. And then finally, there is actually one of my favorite tools in Facebook is the lookalike audiences. Essentially, what that is you can take a group of people and tell Facebook to find people that are most similar to that. So whether you have a list of previous clients, whether you have a list of people who you've door knocked or cold called, you can upload that list to Facebook and tell them, find me people just like this, and they'll actually start to distribute your ads to those people, which is where you can get some really, really great results. Now, the other part of Facebook and online advertising that's so strong is omnipresence, where you're everywhere. So for example, like I was talking about this door knocking where you're sending these people ads after you've knocked their door, even though if they're not ready to sell when you first talk to them, now they're seeing your face over and over and over again. So there's no way they can forget about you. The other thing is leverage. And that's one of the most important things, is because it's a one-to-many advertising tool. So instead of door knocking one-to-one, you can only knock one door at a time. You can send your ad to multiple people at the exact same time, even while you're doing other things. For example, right now, while I'm talking to you guys, my Facebook ads are running and leads are still coming in that I can obviously contact after I get off this call. And then of course, it does make sure that you stay top of mind. Now, the next thing I want to go into here are a couple myths, because this is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are afraid of Facebook and they try to avoid it. And there's a lot of myths surrounding that. But what I'm going to tell you is the myths, but why this is actually a huge advantage for you, especially going into the shifting market that we're seeing pretty much across the board right now. So first of all, iOS updates. Now, iOS updates, essentially what they've done is they've removed some of the tracking abilities and things like that from their ads, or from their pixel, and there are other ways they can actually track people due to privacy laws, which has had a minor impact to your ads. Now, the reality is, in real estate, when you're typically going to be looking for is lead generation, especially if you do on Facebook lead generation, the iOS updates have a much, much smaller impact than, say, e-commerce, where you have to check add to carts, checkouts, purchases, all these other different things where things get confused. But in real estate, because it's a relatively simple process that you're setting up your ads, it's hardly affected at all. Now, the one I probably hear the most is the fake information. So, people say, look, I ran some Facebook ads and people were giving me numbers for taxi cabs, the police station, all kinds of nonsense. It wasn't real information, so it was useless to me. Now, the way to avoid that, and I'll show you some examples here in a second, is you need to provide people with value. When you provide them with actual value, they're going to want to give you real information. Perfect example, let's say you're giving away a buyer's guide. Somebody who legitimately is looking to buy, they're going to want that buyer's guide, meaning they're actually going to provide you with their real contact information in order to actually receive the value that they're looking for. Now, when you do these things that don't really provide value, this is where you're going to get people putting in fake numbers just to see, fake emails, all kinds of stuff. So that's one of the most important things with the ads. You have to lead with value. And then the last one here is a special ads category. So due to discrimination laws, the special ads category is in place, meaning that any one of your ads that you set up, you are very limited when it comes to location targeting. It has to be within a 15-mile radius minimum, as well as you cannot target age or gender. Now, for a lot of people, that may seem like a major issue. You're removing a lot of the targeting options. But as I'll show you here, if you leverage what I was talking about earlier, the Facebook intelligence, let Facebook find your customers for you. Even with limited targeting, Facebook is very, very good at finding the people that you're looking for. And the reason why all of these things are actually a good thing for you, if you're planning on running ads on Facebook, is because Facebook operates in a bidding system, meaning the more people trying to buy Facebook ads for the same people you're targeting, the more money your ads cost. Less people, less money your ads cost, meaning lower cost per result. So as we're moving to the shifting market, people are pulling away from real estate industry in general, and people are scared holding their money a bit more. If you're the one advertising on Facebook, you're actually probably going to get even better results now than you would have done 6 months, a year ago. So that's why I'm saying it's an incredible opportunity right now for Facebook. Oops, skipped way too far ahead here. Sorry about that. Okay, so the next thing I want to go into here is the audience type. So this is very important. This is another big mistake that I see people make, is they try to target their cold audience with ads that are really designed for a hot audience. So essentially what you want to do by using Facebook is you want to slowly warm up your audience in order to get them to convert into a lead, as well as keep them top of mind even once they're in your database and your system. The reason why a lot of ads don't work is because when you send a cold lead, a hot ad, they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you, they're not going to work with you, especially if you're looking for something like to sell their home, which is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million. Or if you're going to help them buy, they're going to be spending a lot of money. If they don't trust you, they're not going to work with you. And the biggest example I can kind of give to that is that imagine if you were outdoor knocking, and the moment that you knocked on the door, the person opened the door, you hand them a listing agreement, say, sign this, I'm going to sell your house. Obviously, that's not going to work. They don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about them. And it's just not going to work. So what we do is we use a process to slowly move them along the process from cold to warm to hot, by leveraging some of our techniques. I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that here in just a second. Now, this is the other thing that I feel a lot of people make mistakes on when they're setting up their campaigns. And as I mentioned at the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to set all three of these up. But essentially, there's three levels when it comes to Facebook. There's the campaign level, which is your objective. So whether that's you want lead generation, you want video views, you want brand awareness, and we'll show you which ones are the best here in a second too. The second one is the ad set. So that's actually the targeting. So who are you targeting? Who you actually want to deliver the ads to. And then the third level is the actual ad or the actual creatives that you're using, that this is actually the thing that people will see when they're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. So these are the three different things. These are the things very important to understand how they work. Now I'm going to quickly go through 5 of the most common mistakes that I see when it comes to Facebook ads. I call them the 5 T's of Facebook: targeting, timing, tracking, testing, and transitioning. And I'm going to show you how you can remedy that. So first of all, when it comes to targeting, I see a lot of people trying to add too many interests, trying to be too specific with the location and all of these different things, which ends up confusing Facebook, limits your audience, and you end up with less results than even if you had less targeting and letting Facebook figure it out for you. And that's what I mean by not leveraging the Facebook intelligence, meaning letting Facebook find your customers for you by providing them with the data, whether that's your lookalikes, so from your past audiences, or retargeting by just telling them, hey, send these ads to these specific people. I want to make sure I'm top of mind. So those are some of the most important things when it comes to targeting. And what I just discussed when it comes to cold, warm, and hot, you need to be building the trust before asking for business. So again, if you're targeting cold people with hot ads, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. Next one is timing. This is probably the biggest mistake, or the most common mistake, I should say, that people make when it comes to Facebook, is they set their ads up, they let it run for a day, they don't have 100 leads, and they're upset, so they turn their Facebook ads off. Now, Facebook, especially on a brand new ad account, you need to let Facebook run for a few days, let them start to optimize at least 3 or 4 days, especially on a fresh account, so it can start to generate some data so you can actually make proper decisions whether or not it's working. Now, the other thing I see people doing a lot are changing their ads too often. Same sort of situation, 1 or 2 days goes by, they didn't get the results they want, they start adding things, changing things, adjusting things, which a lot of people don't know sets Facebook back into the learning phase, which sort of resets your process, and you'll actually get probably worse results than if you just left it. So one of the biggest things I'd say, just let your ads run, and then you can go into looking at tracking, which is the third mistake that I see people make. And this is not properly tracking what's going on with your ads. You know what they say, what gets measured gets managed. If you're not managing your tracking, you're going to have a lot of issues. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they only use the default metrics on Facebook ads. So there's very limited data that you can look at. Now, I'll show you some examples at the end again of my KPIs that I have set up. Things I would always recommend: results. So how many leads, views, clicks, whatever your objective is, did you get? Cost per result, very, very, very important. And then things like CPM. So how much does it actually cost to deliver your ads to 1,000 people? That's a very important number because that's going to influence everything. Click-through rate, this is very important as well. Is your ad actually good? Do people actually want to click on your ad at all, or are they just not interested? And this is where you can start to make some decisions by looking at this data. The other one being reach, impressions, and frequency, which all go hand in hand, meaning reach being how many people saw it, impressions, how many total times did people see it, frequency, how many times on average did each person see your ads. Now, your frequency gets too high, your ads are probably going to start to perform worse because people get something what they call ad fatigue. They see the same ad over and over again. They're not interested in the ad. They're never going to click it. Now, when it comes to videos, you want to look at the play percentages. So 3-second play, through play, which is 7 seconds, and then percentage watch, 25% video views, 50%, 75%, 100%. And by looking at that data, you can actually adjust your video and see where your issues come up. So if you have people watching to 3 seconds, but not to 7 seconds, then you know there's a big issue between second 3 and second 7, which are some of the most important times in the beginning of the video that you need to adjust, make it more engaging, and keep people interested. Lastly, is people not tracking off Facebook metrics. So these are things like how many leads does it take for you to get an appointment? How many appointments does it take for you to get a client? And how many clients does it take for you to get a closed deal from Facebook? And this allows you to actually scale up or scale back your ads based on that data. If you don't have this information, it's very hard to make an intelligent decision. Next is testing. People do not do proper testing. So some of the most important things to test are the actual creative. So the actual image or video, that's going to have the biggest impact for your testing. The next thing being the copy. So the actual sales text that comes above the ad. And then the types of ads or the angles. So whether it's a custom list of homes, whether it's the buyer's guide, seller's guide, I'll show you some examples here in a second, but these are all the different things that you can actually do for different types of ads. Now, these three are going to have the biggest impact. Now, when you are testing, what I see a lot of mistakes people make is they're trying to test too many things at once. They have an ad that's not performing well. So then they try to change the copy, the ad, and the image, which means, you're testing too many things at once. If the ad does better, you don't actually know what was the problem. Was it the ad, was it the copy, or was it the targeting? So you want to change just one thing at a time to actually do proper testing. And then lastly, you need to look at the actual numbers, because in a lot of cases, and I'll show you an example here in just a second, the ads you probably think are going to perform the best don't, and the ones you think might not perform well actually do. So I'll show you this here when I'm looking at some of the testing strategies. And this is a very important example. So this ad here that I ran for this property out in Scarborough here in Toronto, it's a just listed ad. And I tested 4 different images. And I thought that the best image of this property was going to be A, the kitchen, and then, or B, it would be the living room. I thought those ads would perform the best. Now, the reality was those 2 ads actually performed the worst. And these 2 here of the same building actually performed much, much better. Now, I'm assuming the reason for that is there's more curiosity in that. They can't really see what's going on. They can't disqualify it without getting more information. But if I just went with the 2 ads that I thought were the best and didn't properly test, then I would have been spending money on ads that weren't working as well at all. That's why it's so important to actually test and remove yourself from the testing and let the marketplace or the actual clients decide. And then in the middle here, when it comes to copy, there's different things you can test when it comes to the actual copy of the ad. These 2 examples here, this one's very short and sweet. This one's got some, emojis, a little bit more fun. And I found with this ad, this one did much, much better. It was a lot more interesting and a lot more specific. And I found that one performed better. And then obviously you can test whether you want to do video, whether you want to do images, carousel, all kinds of different ads you can try out. There's going to be a mix depending on what your angle is and what you want to do. Number 5 is transitioning. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more at the end as well, but you need to have a proper CRM. If you're trying to do all of this through Facebook's lead library, it's going to be an absolute mess, and you're going to forget about half the people that you talk to. You need to have a proper CRM. Luckily here at EXP, we have KV Core, which is great. So anytime I get a lead, it gets imported right into my database, and they're automatically set up on a drip campaign to reach out to them. It tells me when to call them, things like that. So it's already set up. I'm ready to go. So even if I get a lead at midnight, they're still getting the information that they requested because it's set up automatically in my CRM. And then the other thing that's very important to know is that the online lead on average takes 8 to 12 touches to close. And it's always important to stay in contact with that lead and nurture them over time. Most agents, you'll see here, do not follow up even one time. So if you're the agent that's following up multiple times through different drips, through different campaigns, you're going to be the one that's actually getting the business because they see you're definitely out there more and they see your face a lot more often. And then when it comes to these touches, it's not always just calling them 12 times. It's also, sending them a market report, sending them properties in the area, phone call, text, all these different things you can do to keep in touch. And that's why it's so important to have a proper CRM in place to actually transition them from a lead into a client. Now, I'm going to quickly go over some of the best types of ads that you can actually run. So you have the brand awareness. So these are when you're first starting. I'd always recommend running something like this. This could be about you, about your history in the business, how you help your clients, your UVP, things like that. Tips, these could be buyer tips, seller tips, moving tips, cleaning tips, whatever it may be. And even things about the city, best restaurants in the city, things to do in the city, events coming up, things like that to get your face out there, get your name out there and start to develop some of these audiences I was discussing earlier. Now, once you do all that, this is where you get to do what you probably want to do, and that's the lead generation. So there's a ton of different great ads you can run for lead generation. Some of the best that I've found for me personally, pre-construction, by far the best ads I've ever ran. You can do things like custom list of homes. You can do guides, buyer guides, seller guides, investor guides. Things like home evaluations, that's something that I know a lot of people do. Those typically don't work that well because there's not as much perceived value from the client. But these are all some examples of some different ads that you can run. Here's some examples. Pre-construction ad. As you can see, all of these ads are incredibly simple. I've designed them all myself. I'm not a graphic designer. But the thing is, all you want to do is grab their attention, get them interested, and show them you're going to provide value. So, even this one here, big red banner, doesn't look the most aesthetic, but grabs your attention, stops you from scrolling, gets you to click on the ad. And that's what's so important. And so these are just some examples here. Pre-construction, just listed ads. You can do the same for just sold, just leased, just invested, whatever it may be. And then custom list of homes, which are a certain list of homes under a price point. The only caveat with this is you do need an IDX website, meaning you need a website that's linked to your local MLS because you can send them a custom list directly to your website. Thankfully that we are able to do that here with KV Core as well. And then lastly, just to really hammer this point home, because this is the most important part, you can do everything else right, but if you don't do this, then you're going to be wasting money most of the time. You need to properly follow up with your database, have a drip in place to keep them engaged, keep them in front of you and things like that, or else they're going to go to somebody else. And, I can't tell you how many people I've had reach out to me a year after they first came into my CRM, haven't really had any real contact with them besides, the emails and things that I've been sending out. And they say, hey, I'm looking to buy now. What's the market looking like? My budget is $800,000. So that's something that literally happened to me like 2 weeks ago. So that's why you will always want to keep in touch with your clients as much as possible. Now, before we go into the Q&A, as promised, I'm going to show you guys the exact ad that I use to generate those leads. I'll show you everything, the targeting, the exact way I set up the ad, so you can go and do the same for yourself. And again, I'm going to show you this targeting will shock you. So first of all, here's the campaign, and I'll refresh so you can see it's not fake. The numbers are real. This is when the ad was completely done after I finished the campaign. I spent $157 for 194 leads at a total of 81 cents per lead. And here are some of the other stats that I use: reach, impressions, cost per thousand, engagement, link clicks, click-through rate of 15%, which is absolutely nuts. Most ads will get maybe 3%, 4%, and that's still considered pretty good. So these are all of the KPIs that I use to track. So I'll show you the ad. So we'll start off, like I mentioned, I'm going to show you guys exactly everything you need to set up in order to get an ad just like this. So again, the campaign level, what you're looking at right here, this is your objective. What do you want Facebook to do? So first of all, because housing, it has to be in the special ads category or your ad will get disapproved, it will get rejected, and you might even get your account banned if you do it too many times. So you don't want to do that. Number two, lead generation. So you want to set lead generation. I like on Facebook lead generation. I find Facebook is better at optimizing for that. But if you have a good landing page or a good website that you want to use, go for it. I just find that on Facebook optimization works very, very well. So that is the campaign level. Very, very simple. Next, we're going to go into the ad set. So again, this is the level where you actually do the targeting. So I'm going to show you guys here the targeting. So, and this is something that you guys, you might get a little upset that when I actually show you this, but when I show you the targeting, what you're going to see is gender, all, ages, can't adjust that because of special ads category. And the audience, as you can see, is actually completely blank. Detailed targeting, no option selected. The only thing I targeted were these locations where I thought people would be interested in what the ad is about. So if that doesn't show you how strong Facebook intelligence is, I'm not sure what does, because this is the best ad I've ever ran for real estate, and it had literally zero detailed targeting at all. This is what I mean by don't overcomplicate it when it comes to targeting. And then the other thing to look at here, this is where instant forms, this is my actual meaning that they're going to fill out the on Facebook lead generation. You can set your budget. I'd recommend at least $10 per day, depending on your market. If you're in a more aggressive market, a lot of people spending ads, you might need a little bit more, but it really depends on what you want to do. And then when it comes to placements, now I always recommend these three: Facebook feed, Instagram feed, Facebook marketplace. You don't really want to do any of these other ones. They don't perform too well. Unless it's a video that's designed for a story or a reel, then I would use these as well. But pretty much anything else, I would avoid almost all of these. Instagram Explorer isn't too bad. Now there's Shop, but these three are the highest converting. I'd recommend staying on those. And as you can see, these are the ones that I did to get leads for almost nothing. So, and lastly, what I'll show you is the actual ads. So there was the ad set, and here's the ads. And this is why a strong testing strategy is so important. As you can see, I told Facebook, hey, these are 6 different ads of 4 different pre-construction projects. So I want you to find the best leads possible. I don't care who or which project you start sending out. All I want is as many leads as possible. That's what I told Facebook. And when you do that, as you can see, the budget went almost exclusively to this specific project because Facebook was seeing, I'm generating leads at dirt cheap. I'm going to keep sending traffic to this specific ad. Now, if you do want to actually get more budget spent on some of these other ones, there's some strategies you can set up to force Facebook to spend. But if you're looking for the best cost per lead, this is the best way to do it. So even though these ones didn't get too much ad spend, Facebook was able to determine this is the best ad and dump all of the budget onto that. And that's how you're able to get results like that. Now, finally, I'll wrap up before we do any Q&A here, and I'll show you the actual ad and the copy that you can use here. So I'll show you this here, expand. So here's the actual ad coming soon. This is the location in Niagara region, not too far from where we are here in Ontario. And as you can see, the ad's very, very simple. It's a rendering of the townhome project, some high level details, the pricing, it's near a university, and when it actually closes. And that's literally it. And in the copy, as you can see, very, very short, very sweet, creates a little bit of urgency, gives you some information, makes you want to learn more, doesn't give too much away, but it does give people intrigued, gets them wanting to learn more, and they end up clicking. And as you can see, the engagement on this ad, on the actual ad was quite low, only 4 likes, 6 comments, but hundreds of leads came in. I had people calling me almost every single day, multiple times per day about this specific ad because it was ran so well. Everything, pretty much all the boxes I was telling you about before were ticked off and allowed Facebook to optimize and people to, start to lean in and start to, obviously fill out their information. But with all of that being said, I know it was a lot of information on Facebook there. Do any of you guys have any questions at all before we move into the second half of the training here? Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something useful. If you're interested in partnering with our record-breaking organization, the Wolfpack, here at eXp Realty, completely for free, just click the link that's in the pinned comment. We can set up a time to talk and we can see whether or not we'd be a good fit for each other. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, click the like button down below and make sure to subscribe. We're going to be posting videos like this on the channel every single week. And be sure to join the Facebook page. The link is in the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.